welcome. In today's video, I am gonna talk about shadow. I shouldn't probably sound so chipper, but this topic is dark enough as it is. In this video, I'm gonna focus on 4 major things you need to know about shadow. The first, what is shadow? Second, when it all starts. Third, what happens if you suppress that? And fourth, what happens if you work on that? So first, I will start off with the definition. Yes, I prepared a definition because I thought I don't want to fill your head with a bunch of nonsense, at least not in this video. According to APA definition, in analytic psychology of Carl Jung, shadow is darker side of human psyche, which may comprise anything. Trait, desire, emotion, whether positive or negative, that is unacceptable to an individual's conscious ego and as such remains unexpressed and hidden in the unconscious. To elaborate on this even more, because this sounds totally mysterious, Carl Jung talked about this in his book Psychology and Religion, and he specifically says, and I quote, Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. Everyone has a dark side, and if you're not showing it, well, that doesn't mean you don't have it. It's like in your house, like those people, like on Friends, when Monica had a really beautiful apartment, it was really clean, and then she had this one room that was really dirty.
You're messy.
No, you weren't supposed to see this!
That kind of stuff, that's what I'm talking about. So watch out, if you already want to tell me, but I am such a good person, I don't have a bad side. Try to let it grasp for a little bit before you completely dismiss it, because in the shadow, at least according to Jung, there are positive and negative things within the shadow. So the negative things, what are those? These are these primal emotions and desires, like sexual desires, feelings like anger, frustration, feelings like rage or envy or selfishness or striving for power. But there are also positive things.
Wait for it.
This is some kind of passion or purpose you might have in life. If you don't have a life purpose and you are looking for it, this may be one of the reasons why, because you just suppressed that so much that you're not able to access it anymore even, and this might be why. There's always other positive things like your creativity or intuition or this drive you might have and energy. There's loads of energy in there, and also there could be playfulness and courage which you have. So when it starts in childhood as like basically everything. Your parents want you to be a good little boy or good little girl so that you wouldn't get on their nerves too much at least. And maybe with time you will notice that certain behaviors are remunerated and awarded and accepted, and because feeling acceptance by others is one of your basic needs, you want to be accepted, and so you comply with the requirements and you suppress the bad things which your parents don't want to see. And then what happens? As if this wasn't enough, you go to school and the same thing happens again in your school. We get socialized so that we won't run around in rage in a school classroom and be all happy about life and fulfilled just like that. Because that's not what we are asked to do. We are asked to sit down and be quiet and be studying. And who would want that? You need to do very serious suppressing in order to create these individuals out of people. And then in life, the same thing. If you were angry at your boss, he would probably kick you out of his company just like that. Unless you are the boss and then you can be angry and don't get punished, which is the ideal. But who is really the boss? What happens if you suppress this shadow? Well, a lot of nasty stuff. Maybe you feel like, I am not angry, I am really mellow and chill. Really? If I really try to piss you off, I bet I would succeed. You have anger deep down inside of you. You have anger which you suppressed, which by definition of this word, it means it didn't go anywhere. You just buried it deep down inside. It's still there.
Sir, calm down.
I'm calm!
If I will hassle you a little bit, I bet I can get some anger out of you. And what happens with time is that you learn to be this good little boy or good little girl. You suppress your courage and your passion, and then you feel like you have none in your life. Maybe you're gonna tell me that, well, some of this stuff it's good to suppress, or not. I would propose here that no, it's not good to suppress it. There are other ways how we can deal with that. But first I will start what actually can happen if you suppress it. Your psyche has to deal with this somehow, and so your psyche decides to kind of use these defense mechanisms. For example, one of them could be projection. When you see some behavior which you don't like, maybe your colleague in work is really selfish and you feel like, how can they be so selfish? It's horrible. And this triggers you because you don't want to recognize this selfishness in yourself. You buried it deep down inside. You see that as unacceptable. And so when someone else is expressing this behavior, you feel rage. And if you didn't suppress that but learned how to deal with that instead, you would acknowledge that this person's selfishness is something which you also have. And you wouldn't get in such a rage for that at him. Many times you can learn, like from law of attraction, that you should always focus on the positive things and you will bring more positive into your life. And you shouldn't focus on the negative because that will bring more negativity into your life. But this is just one side of things. If you focus too much on the positive and you still feel these feelings, these negative feelings, that's not gonna get you very far, because chances are you're not going to be successful in implementing law of attraction. And maybe what you would need would be some shadow work and integrating these parts of your psyche which at one point in your life you just disowned. So which one is it? Should you focus on the positive or should you focus on the shadow work? Well, this is one of the paradoxes, I think, in personal development, and oh man, there are many paradoxes, and I'm gonna leave it up to you to reconcile this. It's always about balancing both approaches and being aware that if you dive too deeply into one of them, you will lose track of your balance. So it's really up to your intellect, really. And I don't know how is your intellect, but I hope for the best for you. Because law of attraction, they actually overlook something really important, and this is key insight I'm gonna share here. Listen close. That which you suppress doesn't grow weaker, it actually grows stronger. Imagine if you put a dog, like a really wild dog which is just running around in your garden and stepping on your flowers, you put this dog in a cage and you are gonna be like, problem solved, the dog is in cage, he's gonna calm down. Except when you release him from this cage, he's probably gonna be even more wild than he was when he was running in your garden. The putting him in a cage part didn't calm him down and actually made him even more angry. But this is exactly how it works with your shadow. So that's one thing to think about. Maybe now you have a question for me. Okay, so what should I do? Should I just go and do all the bad things that come to my mind? And I would tell you, of course not. Why do you have to think the worst out of me? I actually would want you to work on this on a psychological level. Acknowledge that you have these parts, accept them, accept your negative emotions, accept the negative parts of your personality, and then integrate it and become this whole human being that is composed of good parts and bad parts and is aware of that. And also what happens if you suppress your shadow is that, as I was saying to you, there was also positive things about the shadow. Like maybe imagine that you admire somebody for their strength or courage or the way how they speak. Maybe you admire a musician or sports star or spiritual teacher or actor or actress or model or whoever you admire. And then they screw up somehow and you feel deceived. You wouldn't have to feel deceived if you didn't idealize them and put them on the pedestal. And if you recognize that they are human beings just as anybody else is, and there are good sides and bad sides to every single one of us, no matter how perfect and polished version of themselves they're putting out there. And sometimes the level of polishness can be really, really huge, especially with all those filters we have today. And so this is kind of this positive projection which can happen, because you disowned these qualities in yourself, and now you see them in others and you admire them, and you think like, this is not you, and you can never live courageous or passion-driven life or anything like that. But you actually can if you integrate yourself as a human being. So it leaves me to my last point, and that is actually what will happen if you work on your shadow. You will actually experience improvement in the quality of your relationships. You will get more authentic relationships with others, because you're probably not going to be hiding your baggage behind you, but you're going to show them. So maybe they're not going to enter even a relationship with you, or you will find somebody who will like you as you are, exactly as you are, with the good side and bad side. And it's going to give you much clearer perception of the world as it is. Also, you will experience increase in your energy levels, because dragging around this shadow as if you had like a really heavy luggage on your back and you didn't want people to see, that can be really exhausting. Also, if you care way too much what people think of you, now if you integrate all your bad parts and good parts, you're not going to be as afraid that others will see that in you, because you already know you have that. There's nothing to hide. They have it as well. And also, this leads to greater authenticity in your life, creativity in your life, and you will probably have more passion in your life overall. And in my next video, I will tell you practical exercises which you can do, how to work on your shadow. But I would like to have a disclaimer here. Just as much as with everything, balance, really, especially in this work, has to be applied. You don't want to go overboard. You don't want to drain too much in the shadow, because it's shadow, it's not everything. It's just one part of your personal development. Don't drain way too much in there. Don't drain in negative thinking or anything like that. There needs to be balance. And also, if you suffer from self-esteem issues, this might not be for you. Maybe you first need to work on your self-confidence. If you suffer from anxiety and depression, this can also maybe be triggering for you. So really, first think if this work is for you or not, or how should you approach it. You can always find a psychologist or coach who can help you with this kind of stuff. And I highly recommend that. Also, if you have any questions for me, you can write me in the comments. If you like this video, I will be really happy if you give it a like or subscribe to my channel. And that's everything from me. Have a beautiful now, and I will see you next time with my next video. Bye.